Gearhead 327. Okay, I've got a Gen 1 small block in this 96 truck here, and it came with a Vortec. And in order to get to use the Vortec alternator and the Vortec air compressor and the Vortec power steering pump, it's going to be a lot easier to use the Vortec water pump and the one-piece belt assembly serpentine. But in order for me to do that, this Gen 1 has a coolant bypass right here, and we need to plug that up. So rather than me experiment on this one, I just happen to have an older engine. Let's try that before we come over here and we screw this up. See what we're going to have to block off that coolant bypass right there. Now this is just an old block that I've got. It's not rebuildable, and you can see how crusty it is. But for testing purposes, I've got a 1996 Vortec water pump on it, and like I said, you can see where that needs to be blocked off right there. I'm going to be putting the Vortec accessory brackets and have the serpentine belt, not on this engine but another one. But if you're thinking about doing that, you've got the plenty of mounting holes on that side, but on this side you're going to need some more holes. Now the engine that I have is Gen 1, but the heads have the holes in there, and if you use the Vortec heads, then it's not a problem. But if you're going to use a reverse rotation water pump, then you're going to need to block that little hole, and that's what we're going to do today. Now this is an old Gen 1 water pump, and you can see that it has the coolant bypass right here on the bottom of it. So if we were to put this water pump on here, that would work. But if we're going to use the Vortec serpentine belt assembly, we're going to have a big leak. So let's get that tapped. All right. Well, the internet calls for an 1/8 inch pipe tap for right here to block that off, and I've got a plug, and this calls for a 21/64 drill bit. Now I didn't drill it out, guys, because it seemed like the hole was plenty big enough, and what I did is I ran this little tap in here, and it just fits in there really loose like that, and it's some very small threads. And if you screw this plug in here, you see how it just fits in there. The hole is too big, so we need to move up to the next size, which is this right here, which is 1/4 inch NPT, and this is the drill bit that came with it. I'm not exactly sure what size this is, but what we're going to try and do is drill this out, and then we're going to put a plug in there. So and I'm going to try and get it as straight as possible. Alright, well that drilled that out. Let's put this plug in here, and we'll see if we can tap it out. We'll need to get some oil or something and put that on there. Alright, I got the tap started. I'm using some compressor oil right now, so okay, I've got this tapped here, and we want to go a little bit at a time. What I ultimately want is I want that flush with the block, and it's about 1.5 or 2 turns from being flush. So like I said, I don't want to tap it and then it it goes way in there. I want it just enough to go with that. So let's take that back out. Of course we'd want to put Teflon tape on it, but this is a better plug, I guess, than that brass one, because it's going to allow it to be flush. We'll get that tapped another turn or two. Alright, well there it is, guys. Coolant bypass block off. If you're going Vortec, and from what I understand some of the electric water pumps you have to block it off, but that is going to do the trick. And like I said, this is just an old engine I use for, you know, mocking up stuff, and I wanted to try it on this before I tried it on the actual engine. But this little plug right here, like I said, put some Teflon around it, and what I did is it went, the last time it went about that far, and I just want another turn or two, and then I just want it flush, and that right there is flush. So alright, well that's how easy it is. Let's see if we can get it on the actual engine that's in the truck. Okay guys, I wanted to say if I ever wanted to go back to the old style water pump for whatever reason, of course you can see this is upside down, but this with a gasket would probably fit right over that hole right there and be okay. If it didn't, what we could do is just drill that out right there. That's probably a little less than 1/4 of an inch, and then you still have the option of taking it out, removing it, or whatever. So probably the next engine build I do, I'll go ahead and tap that, because you never know, and then I have the option of drilling it out or whatever. So alright, well this one's going to be a little bit harder to see. I'll do the best I can, but basically we're going to do the same thing, and we're going to use the 1/4 inch NP T-drill bit, and I'm going to try and get this as straight as possible here. You don't want to drill too far back in there. I might hit something really vital, so be a little cautious about that. Well, let me get that cleaned out. Alright, basically the same procedure as before. We move it in a little bit, and then every time we go just a little bit that way, and then back it out, and then go a little bit forward. Just kind of just work it in there. The cast iron actually taps pretty good compared to some other steel I've done before. So alright, well we're just going to work this in here and get that tapped out. Alright, well we got that drilled and tapped, and I did it slow just like I did on the other one. And what we're going to do is put some Teflon tape on this. And let's get this in here. And I got it just where it's flush, and it's tight to get it flush too, so I didn't want it interfering with the water pump and causing a leak or something right there. And it's just a little bit below the thing right there, so I think that'll work. Now we can put that water pump on. But anyway guys, that's how you plug a Gen 1 small block Chevy, and I guess from now on I'm just going to go ahead and tap it, and that way whatever I decide to do, it's good to go. Alright, Gearhead 327.